We are now talking about the security misconfiguration vulnerability, and what that essentially means is that your application is not sufficiently hardened in terms of security. It's perhaps leaking too much information, it's allowing too much stuff to happen, and it's not really what we call productionized. And productionized is just a way of saying it's not been tightened up in terms of how things behave in error conditions or how default functionality is exposed. And there can be many things that fall into that category, which all depends on what kind of a platform you're on. With PHP, one of the things we'll look at is how the error output looks. So here you'll see there's our credentials again, and what we've added is that there's a file that's going to open, and it'll have the welcome message that we're going to grab for a user when they log in. So let's try it out. And wow, you suddenly see there's so many errors. And the problem here is that we now see the path where the file lives, and we can now see what the code underneath the covers looks like. It's now trying to show us like that we were doing file size, we're doing fopen on a file called welcome.txt. It's doing fread. So it's really showing us the internal nitty-gritty of what kind of a application we are running here, and it's definitely given away that all of it's built in PHP. And so this is enough for an attacker to start to build some kind of plan for how to take advantage of this vulnerability. So let's take a look at how we would go about remediating this. So we were talking about how we are going to suppress these warnings and not have them give away so much about our configuration. So one of the hardening steps we can take is go over to our file here and flip a setting that PHP has, and it looks like this. Error reporting, we're calling this configuration function. We're saying suppress these error, parse. So now we go over here and look at that, no more warnings. So we are not giving away as much in case something doesn't go right. And that's how you'd remediate it, but that's just an example, of course. There can be so many other settings, and that's what's important, is that whatever technology you're using, you go through the production guide and follow steps to change the configuration from perhaps development-friendly defaults to defaults that are better for a production environment where you don't want to show as much debugging information, and maybe you don't want to allow as much exposed from the application as you would if you were just doing regular day-to-day development in a safe environment. And that's how we would remediate something like this. And that's more of a technology agnostic suggestion. That's just anytime you're dealing with web applications, something to watch out for is how much information your application could be exposing by default, or how much input it could be allowing by default.